Welcome to the Equinety Podcast, where horse owners just like you share their incredible Equinety stories and how Equinety is changing their horses' lives. Whether you're searching for something to give your performance horse better focus, faster recovery, and more stamina, or in the extreme case where all hope seems lost, give your horse what it needs to help heal at a cellular level, you'll find it here. So jump in on today's episode to hear how Equinety is helping horses worldwide. Now, welcome your host, John Dowdy.
Hello and welcome to another Equinety Podcast. This is your host, John Dowdy, and this week we're swinging up into Ohio, and our guest is Rachel Senft. She is a nurse for her day job, and on the weekends, typically running about 3 shows a month. Rachel, welcome to the Equinety Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to tell the story about how it's helped all my horses, especially my oldest gelding.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're excited to have you on, and today we're going to be talking about 4 of your different horses. But before we do that, as I mentioned, you are a nurse, and when you first saw the product, the Equinety product, and saw that it was all amino acids, what went through your head as you're looking for things for your horses and things like that?
I was looking for something a little bit different than your traditional joint supplements. Your traditional joint supplements, like your feed-through stuff, there's some debate whether they're effective or not. And we all know, like, the adequate injections and stuff are super expensive. And so I wanted to try something different to see if it really helped my horses. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I got started on Equinety. A friend of mine had used it, and my older horse just wasn't looking very good. We were pumping the feed to him. I think I started him on it like around January. We were pumping the feed to him. He was kind of dog-coated. He wasn't keeping a whole lot of weight. So we ended up putting him on Equinety, and within a week, noticed a big difference in him. He was always typically kind of like hollowed out through the withers. That muscle mass increased. His coat got brighter. He just overall looked like a whole different horse. And that was only in like a matter of a week. And right. By the end of the 30-day sample, he looked amazing. And he was 15 then. He's 17 now. And when people see them, they can't believe he's 17. He doesn't look it nor act it.
Wow, that's great. Now, you're using this horse as well as your other ones. In the barrel racing world, you qualified for several things in the MBHA and the IBRAs, primarily where you're running.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of some of your accomplishments there.
In 2017, I guess my biggest accomplishment would be I won my first saddle on my older horse. I ended up state champion, and I was reserve state champion on the second horse that I trained by only like a couple points. So I was super excited. We had never won a saddle. Mm-hmm. Or I've gotten plenty of buckles, but that saddle was really, really a check off my bucket list, I guess, per se.
So 2 of the horses that you trained, you won champion and reserve on both of them.
Yep.
That's great.
That champion reserve in the 3D, and in our state, it's pretty salty. We run against Kelly Bowser, Troy Crumrine, all those guys. So it's not a walk in the park.
Right.
Per se.
Yeah. Wow. And you train all of your horses?
Yeah. We typically buy 2-year-olds, and some of them aren't even broke, and we start them on our own. We trail ride them until they're about 4 or 5-ish, just to get their heads mature. And then we take them, and I start kind of playing with them and teaching them the barrel pattern. Mm-hmm. So by doing that, we create sound, like they're structurally sound by the time they're 4 or 5. they've got good heads on their shoulders and through trail riding and do different things, they usually are pretty good with their feet.
Right. Yeah, so even with the intense training and the hours, the long hours and weeks and months that it takes to get these horses where they need to be, you still were finding that, prior to using the Equinety, sometimes they just maybe weren't filled out completely, or they look kind of dull, or, there were some issues.
Especially towards the end of the summer, after running several shows, there's a lot of 3-day shows up here. Especially my older horse, he would actually get anemic. His hair coat would look dull, his eyes were dull, he just wouldn't fire. And since I've been using Equinety, I haven't had to do anything to build his blood back up or anything like that. We've leveled off on the amount of feed he gets.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't had to increase or decrease what he gets fed, which is really nice because he was getting fed a lot.
Right.
His weight. And, hauling and going several times a month, sometimes it can kind of stress him out. I have a horse that's a little bit more nervous. At times he can be kind of hot. And putting Jake on the Equinety has seemed like it's leveled out his temperament. Like he's very easy to get along with anymore. Not that he was hard to begin with, but he's just easier all around. He doesn't seem to get so stressed at the shows. You can call him multiple weekends in a row, and he's good with it.
Right. Now, and so I know from our standpoint, and, there's a few shows that we go to, and probably one of the most things that we hear, the feedback, is with a nervous horse or one that has a lot of anxiety. And we've heard in as little as 2 to 3 days of being on the Equinety how much it's really just calmed the horse down, just kind of takes the edge off. And maybe you can answer this, but from what we've heard, it doesn't take off. They still want to do their job. They're still very, very focused. It just seems to kind of take the edge off, and like they're just comfortable in their skin now. Is that what you would find?
Yeah, it really seemed to kind of like he would think too much, and it really kind of like got his wheels between his ears to slow down, and he became more focused. He wouldn't get himself so hot at the gate that he'd blow a pattern or anything like that. He wasn't hard to get in the arena before, but he is a lot calmer when you're trying to get in the arena now.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed a big difference as far as that goes with him.
Right.
And he still eats. He'll eat now on the 3-day shows. Like before, he'd kind of go on and off his grain. He gets super grumpy. He doesn't have any of those issues anymore.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, this one also had some hoof issues going on as well.
Yeah, he's got the famous paint horse white feet. We were kind of dealing with some foot issues. He had stuck his foot into something, and it looked like he literally rasped part of it off. So we were having a hard time getting enough foot to grow to put a shoe back on him. And I've noticed since he's been on the Equinety, we don't have that problem at all anymore.
Yeah, and the hoof growth is probably one of the other things that we hear most often. That takes a little bit longer. Although we've received a lot of feedback, and as little as 4 to 6 weeks, you'll start seeing some nice hoof growth, depending on the situation. But that's pretty amazing. So let's get into your horse number 3 here, the Red Roan. Tell us a little bit about this one and what was going on.
She didn't look bad, but she didn't look as good as what she could. She didn't have that real soft hair coat or a real good shine to her coat. So we put her on it as well, and it's dramatically changed her appearance. She's super soft, and she's got this real pretty silvery burgundy coat on her now. And She kind of in the winter, if she wasn't getting rode a lot, she would go off of her grain and lose some weight. Even when she goes off of her grain, she almost gets depressed when you don't ride her. Even when she goes off of her grain, she's holding her weight a little bit better.
Nice.
That's the biggest difference I've seen in the Red Roan.
Yeah. Well, and all those little things, we have a lot of people that, they have a horse that's in really great shape. There's nothing really wrong with them per se. But the great thing with the Equinety is it seems to kick them up a couple notches, and because of what it's doing, and I'll get a little bit more into this after we talk about your young horse here, but ultimately it's helping balance the body from the inside out, and that's why it has all of these effects. But I'll get a little bit more into that before we do that, I'll talk about your young horse here. What was going on with this one?
I bought him as a 3-year-old, and he didn't look bad, but he didn't look as good as he could, I guess. I'm kind of picky about how my horses look. And because, if they don't look good, more than likely they're not going to perform good for you. Especially a young one that's learning. You don't want them to get sore. You want to help them as much as you can, especially in their growth stages. And I found with him, he's been on it almost a year now. I bought him last October. He, even in his growth stages where he gets all awkward, where his hip is higher than his withers, they tend to lose some weight. He hasn't. He's maintained. He's kicked out 24/7, so he's kind of sun bleached. And he looks, that sun bleached horse, they're not very shiny. They're not very soft. But he is super shiny, even though he's pretty sun bleached from being outside all day long.
Right.
That's the biggest difference I've noticed in him. Just his hair coat, despite being outside all the time, and then he's not losing weight and getting, when he's in those awkward, gangly coat stages. But he kind of looks like a mature gelding.
Right. Wow. Yep, that is great. Well, I will just take a quick minute here to kind of get into a little bit of what this Equinety stuff is. If it's your first time tuning in and you've heard these stories about 4 horses with, in this particular case, kind of 4 different issues going on, and how does this stuff help in all these scenarios? First of all, the Equinety is 100% pure amino acids, and there's no fillers, no sugars, no starches, and there's no loading dose. Serving size is 5.2 grams, which is not quite a tablespoon. Just use it as a top dressing, and it's very palatable. Amino acids are typically salty by nature. So in the case that one of them snubs their nose at it, you can mix it with a little coconut oil or applesauce or syringe it. But it's not a long-term thing. They'll typically just eat it right up. But what's unique about the Equinety product is the amino acids are specifically formulated to stimulate the pituitary gland, which is the master gland in the body, and that's what releases the necessary hormones that help heal at a cellular level. So, as Rachel mentioned earlier in the call, when she saw the product and was specifically looking to possibly replace some things or see how this would compare to maybe a joint supplement. When you have a horse with a joint issue, then you typically look at joint supplements or possible injections, or if you have hoof issues, you look at hoof supplements and creative shoeing. So we're just trying to find a particular product to go after that specific problem. The neat thing with the Equinety product, it's very easy, it's simple. All of them get the exact same dosage, which is the 1 scoop. But because we're stimulating the pituitary gland to release the hormones, the body's deciding with pinpoint accuracy where to send those hormones for the healing. So it's customizing to each horse. And in this case, we're talking about 4 different horses. We've just kind of ran through each of the issues that they were having and how it helped. But what's really unique, Rachel, and you had mentioned this to me prior to us recording the podcast, is, the commonalities. They seem to all have softer, shinier coats. Their hooves are much stronger. And one of the things that you mentioned to me was, being these are performance horses, you were having to give injections how often were you having to give injections, first of all, before Equinety and then after?
My older horse, I mean, he probably got his knee and his hocks done at least probably twice a year. He's had some injuries. He's tore his suspensory. I think he was like 12 when he tore his suspensory. He broke his leg as a 4-year-old. He broke his accessory carpal. So because of those injuries, he needed a little bit more maintenance. And it seems to me now that he's only getting in about once a year. It's getting, like, it's stretched longer. Like, it's not an every 6-month thing like it used to be.
Right.
It's really decreased my maintenance.
Right. And then one of the other things, let's finish that off. So were the other horses having to be injected as well, or was it just mainly the older one?
The one horse, the next oldest gelding, I had to have his hocks done every once in a while, and it's been the same thing too. Like, he's gone longer. I think he went over a year without needing his hocks done, and that's just, he just gets in the ground and he turns super hard. So you have to help him.
Sure.
I mean, the performance horses, you got to do what if they need it, you got to get it done if you want them to go and give you their life every weekend, essentially.
Yep, that's right.
So I've found that I don't use as much maintenance. My chiropractor doesn't come out near as often. The horses are just healthier and happier.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. So the adjustments that they were having to have, they stay in alignment a lot longer because they are more balanced. And of course, with saying all of that, and we're not saying from a company standpoint that the Equinety is the end-all be-all. You should definitely always consult with your medical team and your veterinarian. But we're blessed to have a product that works so well in so many different scenarios, and it is unique in the fact that it is helping to work at a cellular level. So when you're using it in combination with, a good medical team and a good foundation of a feeding program and training and the proper care and things, it really goes a long ways. So that's pretty awesome to hear how your kids are doing there.
Yeah, I definitely will not take them off of it. It's made a giant difference.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Well, Rachel Senft from Ohio, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here on the Equinety Podcast, and thank you so much. If there's anything that you could say to anybody that might be listening in for the first time and trying to figure out what this Equinety, should they try it? Other than maybe the things that you've already said, would you have any advice before we sign off?
The biggest thing is, if you want kind of the edge, if you want to run with the big dogs, you got to treat your horse that way. So you have to take care of them. And Equinety has definitely been a game changer as far as my maintenance program. And it keeps their muscles tight and looking good. And if you can keep their muscles tight, less injury, less chiropractic visits, and just a win-win situation for the horse and you.
Great. Yep, that is awesome. Well, Rachel, thanks again so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
You bet. All right. Bye-bye.
That's all for this episode of the Equinety Podcast. For more information on purchasing Equinety, be sure to visit our website at teamequinety.com, where you'll also find product information as well as more testimonials on how others have seen amazing results by implementing Equinety into their horse's supplement regime. We'll have more stories on how Equinety is helping horses worldwide right here on a future episode of the Equinety Podcast.